After the events of Lusitania and the continued bombardments in the Allied front, raging in Europe, intensifying by the day, it became all hands on deck to secure more ships, bigger ships to help with the war effort. Work was carried out on completing the now designated HMHS Britannic and clearing her for active service. This came on the 12th of December, 1915 at Liverpool. Britannic was assigned a medical team consisting of 101 nurses, 336 non-commissioned officers and 52 commissioned officers, as well as a crew of 675 people. Although Britannic was seaworthy and fit for service, she was technically incomplete. One of the major upgrade and difference that she had over her older sisters was the automatic gantry davits. As she entered service, she would be equipped with 5 of these, although her design would be set for 8. On the 23rd of December, she left Liverpool to join the port of Mudros on the island of Lemnos, on the Aegean Sea, to bring back sick and wounded soldiers. She joined with several ships on the same route, including Mauretania, Aquitania, and her sister ship Olympic. The 4 ships were joined a little later by Staten Dam. She made a stopover at Naples before continuing to Mudros, in order for her stock of coal to be replenished. After she returned, she spent 4 weeks as a floating hospital off the Isle of Wight. The third voyage was from the 20th of March 1916 to the 4th of April. At the end of her military service, on the 6th of June 1916, much to the delight imparted by the British Admiralty, as the cost of running Britannic was proving to be high, Britannic returned to Belfast to undergo the necessary modifications for transforming her into a transatlantic passenger liner. The British government paid the White Star Line £75,000 to compensate for the conversion, much to the delight of White Star Line. Their crown jewel and most up-to-date vessel had survived the war and could be put back to use in the way she was intended. This was short-lived, however. The battle on the Allied front intensified, getting more and more brutal as the days went on. Even with the overwhelming cost of Britannic service, the Admiralty had no choice but to contact White Star Line and requisition Britannic again. Work on her was halted, and she was returned back to being HMHS Britannic. The Admiralty recalled Britannic back into service as a hospital ship on the 26th of August 1916, and the ship returned to the Mediterranean Sea for a 4th voyage on the 24th of September of that year. On the 29th of September, on her way to Naples, she encountered a violent storm, from which she emerged unscathed. She left on the 9th of October for Southampton. Then, she made a 5th trip, which was marked by a quarantining of the crew when the ship arrived at Mudros because of foodborne illness. Meanwhile, across the seas, Britannic's sister would come face to face with danger again. Stripped of her peacetime fittings, and now armed with 12-pounders and 4.7-inch guns, Olympic was converted to a troopship, with the capacity to transport up to 6,000 troops. Under the command of Bertram Fox-Hayes, on the 1st of October, lifeboats from the French ship Probentia, which had been sunk by a U-boat that morning off Cape Matapan, were sighted. Captain Hayes ordered all stop to collect the survivors, and 34 survivors were brought aboard Olympic. Hayes was criticized for this action by the British Admiralty, who accused him of putting the ship in danger by stopping her in waters where enemy U-boats were active. The ship's speed was considered to be her best defense against U-boat attack, and such a large ship stopped would have made an unmissable target. However, the French Vice Admiral Louis d'Artage du Fournet took a different view, and awarded Hayes with the Gold Medal of Honor. Olympic made several more trooping journeys to the Mediterranean until early 1916, when the Gallipoli campaign was abandoned. A shining glory for Olympic, one of many acts of heroism to come in her naval career to follow. Back on Britannic, however, life aboard the ship followed a routine. At 6 o'clock, the patients were awakened, and the premises were cleaned up. Breakfast was served at 6:30 a.m. Then the captain toured the ship for an inspection. Lunch was served at 12:30 p.m. and tea at 4:30 p.m. Patients were treated between meals, and those who wished to go for a walk could do so. At 8:30 p.m., the patients went to bed, and the captain made another inspection tour. There were medical classes available for training the nurses. After completing 5 successful voyages to the Middle Eastern theatre and back to the United Kingdom transporting the sick and wounded, Britannic departed Southampton for Lemnos at 14:23 on the 12th of November 1916. Her 6th voyage to the Mediterranean Sea, the ship passed Gibraltar around midnight on the 15th of November and arrived at Naples on the morning of the 17th of November for her usual coaling and water refueling stop, completing the first stage of her mission. A storm kept the ship at Naples until Sunday afternoon, when Captain Bartlett decided to take advantage of a brief break in the weather and continue. The seas rose once again as Britannic left the port. By the next morning, the storms died and the ship passed the Strait of Messina without problems. Cape Matapan was rounded in the first hours of the 21st of November. By morning, Britannic was steaming at full speed into the Chia Channel, between Cape Sunion, the southernmost point of Attica, the prefecture that includes Athens, and the island of Chia. There were 1,066 people on board, 673, 315 Royal Army Medical Corps, 77 nurses, and the captain.